Concerns ahead of this weekend's huge Premier League clash with Liverpool. They made it 7 points from a possible 9 in the Champions League with a 1-0 victory over Shakhtar Donetsk. Mikel Arteta reflected on a tired performance from his team in the second half.
Two very different halves. The first one that we were very dominant, created 4 big chances, that obviously we should have converted them and put the game to bed with the amount of dominance and territory that we had. The second half very different. We looked tired. We lacked that sharpness with and without the ball to regain the ball in the right moments as well in the right areas. But we have now 4 days. Believe me, on Sunday we will be flying.
So as you can see, Pete and Doogie are here. So Arteta's saying his team looked tired last night. Doogie, how concerning is that? We're only just past mid-October.
I know, it is a little bit concerning, but then at the same time they have had 3 red cards already this season. If they continue at current rates of picking up red cards, they'll finish with 14 this year. The record is 9, set by QPR and Sunderland in about a decade or so ago. So they've left themselves open, they've been playing with 10 men, they've been chasing the ball, and then there's been quite a lot of emotional baggage carried into these games, had extra strain playing with 10 men, of course, and then they've had injuries to key players as well, haven't been able to rotate as much as they'd want. So it's not a total surprise, but if I was an Arsenal fan right now, I'd be slightly concerned that Arteta's already talked about that, as you say, before November even comes around.
Yeah, Pete, you've been looking at some of the statistics around this. Does Mikel Arteta have a point?
Well, there's no stat for tiredness, is there? But we can sort of read into some of their running stats, perhaps, and try and work out how they're getting on in that area. But interestingly, if you look at distance covered in the Premier League this season, Arsenal way down in 14th, so it's not like their players have covered much more than any other team. Brentford leading the way, quite a way actually ahead of what Arsenal have covered there. Arsenal 860 kilometres, Brentford 894. I think Arteta's probably got a point in terms of how quickly last night's match came on the back of their Saturday night football game against Bournemouth, where of course they had Saliba sent off in the first half there, so extra work for them in that match, and that came on the back of the international break where Arteta pointed out they'd had players returning from Brazil, for instance. But if we look at the red card count for them as well, we know they've had 3 red cards so far this season. So across the top 5 leagues, only Marseille have spent more time this season playing with 10 men than Arsenal have, which takes its toll even at this early stage of the season, and as Doogie alluded to there, sort of the emotional stress as well, trying to keep up with the likes of Man City and Liverpool, and knowing that really in this Premier League title race you've almost got to be perfect, and Arsenal have maybe given themselves hard work to do with those red cards already.
And now I'm going to busily go away and see what on earth is happening in Marseille. Let's discuss those injury concerns, shall we, Doogie? What do we know about the fitness of these players ahead of what is a huge game on Sunday against Liverpool?
Yeah, well, on the back of that defeat to Bournemouth, it felt imperative that they got through that match against Shakhtar last night without any further injuries. Unfortunately, Ricardo Calafiori on the far right-hand side of that graphic, he picked up a knock. We're not quite sure about how serious that is. It looked like a knee injury. That could be a couple of weeks, it could be a matter of days, it could be longer term, so we're waiting to hear on that. But the issues are in defence. Tomiyasu's not been fit to play so far this season, neither's Tierney, Saliba's obviously suspended, Timber is a doubt, so they looked like they had so many options at the start of the season in terms of defenders and defensive options, but they've now got an issue at left back because Zinchenko's out, Tierney's out, Jakub Kiwior played at the weekend, he gave away that back pass that led to the second Bournemouth goal from a penalty. Bukayo Saka obviously still a doubt. Martin Odegaard looks like he's going to be out as well. So the injuries are racking up for Arsenal. And look, going 7 points behind Liverpool if they lost this weekend would be a little bit of a disaster. I feel like Arsenal have given so much focus to Man City over the last few years. To fall this far behind even Liverpool, who are under a new manager, would be a massive blow. So Arteta